múltiples estudios, aprendió algunas cosas de mi padre. Mi padre hizo el primer Congreso Internacional de Terapeutas Psicocorporales aquí en Oaxtepec en 1987, en diciembre de 1987. Y en esa ocasión el doctor Pierre Gautier estaba aquí con nosotros también. Entonces es una presencia significativa en la historia de mi familia y de las terapias. A partir de ese congreso, del primer Congreso Internacional de Terapias Psicocorporales, ese congreso ha continuado, y quien organiza ese congreso es un grupo que se llama Comité Científico. Y el doctor Pierre Gautier es miembro de ese comité científico que promueve las terapias psicocorporales. Entonces también otra motivación de invitarlo a él es relacionar a nuestro congreso, nuestra forma de hacer las cosas, nuestra visión de la terapéutica con otras visiones que son semejantes, parecidas, en algunas cosas diferentes, y es una manera de compartir. Por otro lado, como ustedes bien saben, yo trabajo en agua, y el doctor Pierre Gautier tiene una larga historia de trabajo en agua. Pero lo interesante es que, aunque algunas técnicas tal vez haya él probado el estilo de mi padre, él ha seguido desarrollando una escuela y tiene sus propias experiencias, sus propias formas que nos viene ahora a compartir. Así que sin más, invito al doctor Pierre Gautier, le damos la bienvenida.
Mis agradecimientos a Leonardo por invitarme, a Jacqueline Fernández por la traducción simultánea y a Blanca María Muller Lagunes para su ayuda en mi traducción de mi propio texto en francés, del francés al español. Vamos a tener alguna película documentaria que representa un trabajo que he hecho hace muchos años con un hombre que era en el campo del cinema. Entonces le he pedido de hacer un documentario sobre su propia experiencia. Él aceptó, y esta película creo va a ilustrar la utilización psicoterapéutica del agua y del Aquamouvance que enseño. Descubrí el trabajo en el agua con Breathwork, que fue formado por Rafael Estrada y fue también formado por Rafael al trabajo en el agua. Pero he seguido una formación elaborada con otra persona, donde me voy a hablar después de las películas. Hay algunos minutos de dos películas por Carol Dion, la creadora de Aquamouvance, y la película de la sesión terapéutica dura como 21 minutos. Sí. Primero, las imágenes.
Dile a Vale que qué te pone a hacer. Nada más explica.
Está un poco flojita. Está aquí, lo giras, sube y baja. Y este es cuando te tienes que tener cuidado porque a pesar de que lo gires, salta, lo giras y deja de tener que baja un poco para que lo giras.
Las palabras son en francés, pero creo que las imágenes hablan por sí mismas.
Para acá, alejas y para acá. Para acá, alejas y para acá, cercas. Ya la apagas cuando lo quieras apagar. Bueno, se acaba el que pones.
Te presentes ahí con Vale. Aquí voy a estar. En 1 hora y cuarto, creo. Arregla Vale. Eso, nada más le dices, tengo una cámara en video, lo puedes comunicar. Por eso, hay una reunión ahorita o una junta, pues ahorita solamente, no se te va a decir ahorita nada, todas las demás hay una minuta que se va a entregar y todos los puntos que se entregaron, solo presentas ahorita con Vale.
Progressivement, ce rituel de mouvement fluide, de contact rassurant, la chaleur enveloppante de l'eau à 35 degrés et les bercements lents et réguliers de mon corps m'ont amené à changer complètement ma façon de me sentir dans l'eau. Je ne me souviens pas de ce qu'était la vie dans le ventre de ma mère, mais je me disais que ça devait ressembler à ça. Je prenais plaisir à ne rien faire, à me laisser faire sans résister, comme si rien ne pouvait altérer cette profonde sensation de sécurité à laquelle je m'abandonnais. Quelque chose d'extatique. corps a sa mémoire. En lui, les souvenirs, parfois inavouables, sont enfouis, oubliés ou cachés. Des choses que j'aurais eu le goût de dire et que je n'ai jamais dites. Des réactions qu'il aurait été bon d'avoir et que je n'ai jamais eues. Pour toutes sortes de raisons. Si aujourd'hui je cherche à explorer ces souvenirs, c'est qu'ils sont là, et qu'en les libérant, je libère en même temps une partie de moi-même. Ainsi, je deviens plus libre d'être qui je suis au fond de moi. Au début d'une expérience de régression, je ne sais pas à quoi m'attendre. Je peux vivre des états altérés de conscience, comme la libération d'une énergie très forte, ou alors une relaxation profonde. Je peux aussi vivre des états antérieurs de conscience. Alors je régresse jusqu'à 8, 4, 2 ans, etc. Ce n'est pas ma conscience qui décide, c'est mon inconscient. C'est lui qui sait ce que je suis capable de vivre, ce que je suis prêt à voir, à sentir. Je peux être un enfant de 4 ans qui retourne chercher l'affection dans les bras de son papa. Il n'y a pas de sexe. Il y a un enfant qui se permet d'aller chercher ce qui lui a manqué.
Acuático. Los movimientos en agua son partes de una serie de ejercicio acuático para desarrollar flexibilidad de la columna vertebral y favorecer el abandono parcial de control muscular. Lo que resulta es una actitud meditativa sobre la base de la confianza y el abandono a la dinámica del agua. El masaje acuático, también llamado masaje por ondas, busca llevar a la persona objeto del masaje a una serie de ondas que viajan por todo el cuerpo. Esto tiene por objetivo que la persona se centre profundizando la respiración y el abandono del control voluntario de sus músculos. Un movimientos en agua y masaje acuático se practican tanto en el agua como bajo del agua. Esto requiere equipos simples, una máscara de buceo, flotadores que se colocan en la cabeza y en los tobillos. La combinación de las dos series de ejercicios puede inducir a un estado de relajación profunda, proporcionando una gran sensación de bienestar. A su vez, este estado puede ser una experiencia emocional significativa, muy variable según la persona interesada, y eventualmente se puede utilizar con fines terapéuticas. La Aquamouvance, utilizada en psicoterapia, encuentra su complemento natural en otros enfoques, como las múltiples formas de trabajo de la respiración, que ustedes conocen muy bien. Y también necesito de mencionar el masaje relacional impartido por Magistral, que trabaja en París. Por ella fue formado a diferentes tipos de masaje. Sin embargo, el masaje relacional y la Aquamouvance no son favorables a la expresión consciente de la agresividad, un estado frecuentemente percibido en personas que llegan a la relajación profunda. Así que he desarrollado algunas formas de expresión agresiva dentro de la Aquamouvance, pero que merecen que se complementan con ejercicios prácticos en sala, como por ejemplo la danza boxing y boxing expresión desarrollados por Milford Kemp en Canadá y Francia. Estos reflejan más adecuadamente la necesidad de mostrar la agresividad de manera voluntaria y segura, lo que puede conducir a una profunda toma de conciencia. Aquí se termina la revisión de mi traducción en español, entonces vamos a cambiar por el inglés y la traducción será en español. Un momentito.
Okay, we're going to change headphones, please, if you can take the headphones back. And y personas en español, cuando terminen de dejar sus audífonos.
No. Okay, empezamos. No, let's start. There's a whole lot of clinical references in my text, and if you want to have the text, please leave me your name and your email address. I'll send it to you by email, and you'll find there all the references, because I figured that if I spend much time in citing this and that person, it won't be useful for our purpose. So let's go directly to the effects of practicing Aquamouvance. The effect of practicing Aquamouvance. And also, I address myself to you in your capacity as professional people practicing one form professional aid. So I'm talking here to the professional and not necessarily to the individual who wants to live estados modificados de conciencia. Okay? And please feel free to intervene at any time, because it's preferable if it's an interactive communication. Let's start with how, in general, people who experiment Aquamouvance accept it. How do they react to it? I have been practicing Aquamouvance with all types of clients, ranging from highly educated professionals to persons affected by severe physical, sensory, motor, and intellectual difficulties, plus mental disorders. On the practice and results of this approach, which I taught to a few hundred persons over the last 20 years, comments were collected with the help of collaborators and partners, including 9 years at the Centre Arthur Lavie, Haute-Savoie, France, for people with severe disabilities. Excerpts of these comments will be cited as I go on with my text. The names of persons engaging into the activity have been changed to respect confidentiality. The observations reported by staff are given with their real names. People who experience Aquamouvance usually express quite favorable impressions, unless they are affected by the fear of water or totally refuse to go into a pool. Fear of water can be related, among other factors, to traumas suffered during intrauterine life or during the whole lifespan. These traumas and
you have to pause.
To pause more.
Yes.
Okay. So I get carried away. Yeah. These traumas and attachment disorders, quite frequent, can be explored during an Aquamouvance session and, if possible, brought to consciousness. The fear may disappear gradually if the concerned person gives it careful attention, and when emotional disorders manifest themselves, accepts adequate therapeutic help offered by the session leader. By and large, sessions in hot water usually leave a rather euphoric impression or insight introspection after the unexpected surge of distressing memories. One citation: slowly, my fear of the deep is appeased, but I regularly feel the need to remove my mask to take a deep breath. It is also necessary to shake my head, to remove water from my ears and control ambient sounds. I do not feel anything special except the pleasure of moving on water, calmness, lightness. Véronique Lepage, she's a French journalist who wanted to interview me about Aquamouvance, so I told her the best way to know what it is to experiment with it. And she accepted. And as you will see, she had quite an experience. Okay. A severely handicapped man, aged about 35, this is a new citation, later, back in the arms of Nadia, he is rocked, just like a baby. I go behind Nadia, close to her. Nadia is another guide of the session, okay? I go behind Nadia, close to her. I also put my arms around Maurice's shoulders. Then he puts one arm around my shoulder and another around my waist. I sing a lullaby. He listens carefully and pinches me lightly at the waist. Nadia and I are leaning over his face, and he listens to the song, letting himself be gently rocked. Obviously, he appreciates. And here, Maurice is a man about 35 with very severe disabilities. He's mentally retarded, severely mentally retarded. He has neurological difficulties and also psychiatric type difficulties. So he was considered almost an impossible case. And Maurice, with Aquamouvance, did not accomplish miracles, but his condition certainly improved. I attribute this favorable disposition to 5 main factors. Number 1, reassurance from the physical environment. That is, the water is at almost body temperature, 33, 34 degrees. This is not, though, the temperature of the water that those who came this afternoon could experiment with. Okay. Second, the behavior of the activity leaders, very attentive and friendly. Third, the aquatic activities themselves, oriented towards sensations of well-being, provided by gentle mobilization of the spine and joints, plus deep breathing. Fourth, despite the emphasis on the induction of a feeling of well-being and emotional comfort, the experience offers opportunities to channel aggressiveness in safe but vigorous gestures, like hitting the water with floaters or with the fist, like boxing the water. An attitude of openness to the fifth factor, an attitude of openness to every manifestation of feeling, keeping in mind the safety precautions. Let's see now about emotional and relational phenomena observed during the sessions. What you have seen in the film is but one type of manifestation, and it is not that frequent. This man was quite expressive, naturally. The first, in this area, there are striking similarities between so-called normal and disadvantaged people. The two categories of individuals experience similar emotions, although the differences are important in ways of expression, in means of expression. Trust. All leaders in Aquamouvance reported significant progress in trust of the person leading the activity, the trust between, let's say, the client and the leader. Another citation, Pierre invites me to the second part of the session, aquatic massage, after exercises above and underwater. Now I am in full trust, especially because my face is finally in the open. I abandon myself to floating with supports under my neck and ankles. Increased confidence is neither uniform nor constant, usually alternating with more or less aggressive behavior. We all go underwater. This time it's another person with severe difficulties. The one I just cited was a very normal person. We all go underwater, his skin against mine, mask to mask. Francisco is moving in the water like a fish today. but he pinches me a lot. He closes his eyes as if sleeping, wakes up with a start, and pinches me. And I did a session with Claudine, who was the session leader with this fellow, and with him, and he was extremely handicapped. Could not walk in normal space. In the air he couldn't walk, but in the pool, after a number of sessions, he could walk by himself, which was for him a great accomplishment. He seeks contact, but expresses a lot of insecurity in his demeanor, alternating between explorations of movements above and under the water, which starts, and pinching. So he alternates between, I trust you, I hate you, I trust you, I hate you. But the trend is toward greater trust and cooperation with his caregiver. In general, those capable of a minimum of trust in a relationship come to gradually establish a strong emotional bond with their activity leader. Exceptionally, this type of bond is set at the very first session. Let's talk now about aggressiveness, which plays an important part. I know this afternoon it didn't appear in the picture, but with ordinary clients, it often appears. With very sophisticated clients, it doesn't appear directly. It appears by non-abandoning or resisting or diverting the experience or running away from the experience one way or another. To me, I interpret that as a defensive measure which mobilizes, of course, inner aggressivity. So, the calming effect of Aquamouvance on people who feel very angry is remarkable. Recently I was working in a pool with a woman in her 40s who teaches English to immigrants and campaigns to regularize the situation of refugees without official permits. At the beginning of the session, she told me she was very angry because she militates in favor of refugee families and is frequently rebutted by the indifference or hostility of officials and politicians. I proposed, therefore, for about 20 minutes, a series of exercises whereby she hits the water with feet and fists to simulate a fight against imaginary sea monsters. After this period of aggression discharge, she says that she feels much better. Then, completely changing the emotional climate, she surrenders with evident satisfaction to the sequences of aquatic massage. Whether aggression is directed against others or oneself, the water has the same soothing effect. Fear. Despite everything that has been said about the positive aspects of Aquamouvance, one acknowledgement imposes itself on almost everyone getting involved in this activity. As most humans, most of us are inhabited by deep fears in terms of relationships, with the consequences that, at the same time, we feel the desire for and fear of close contact. Aquamouvance, being a powerful incentive for intimate contact in the affective sense with the activity leader, it raises the fear of attachment loss and leads most people to resist their desire to, quote-unquote, give in with confidence to the actions or suggestions of the therapeutic companion. to follow the dynamics of the water, undulate like aquatic plants, freely surrender to the waves induced by the aquatic massage. A person harassed by fear constantly tempts us to force him or her, or let them be the prisoners of their fears. Two options equally negative. Why this fear? Possibly because they confusedly perceive the danger of creating a bond that may result in abandonment. Unfortunately, an experience as frequent as it is painful. Furthermore, some people are attacked at any moment by their own limitations, intellectual, motor, sensory, respiratory, circulatory, the list goes on. Finally, in the depths of themselves, others feel so vulnerable that any intensely relational experience could result in the explosion or implosion of their self. Given these fears and the suspicions they generate both in normal and disabled individuals, the words, quote-unquote, slow, patient taming come to mind. It is therefore necessary to move smoothly to the new experience without imposing in an authoritarian fashion, which does not mean accepting any type of behavior. Attacks against self, others, or the physical environment should be prohibited, but expressions of anger or other impulses are accepted as legitimate and channeled into meaningful actions, since they often signal an important surge of consciousness. Aquamouvance and regression. This will perhaps ring a bell with some of the people who were there this afternoon in the pool. Okay. The sessions in hot water are strong incentives to regress to perinatal states. I think it's not an English word. Perinatal means prenatal or postnatal, but in the very first year of life. Okay. Prenatale y después el nacimiento. Before the birth and let's say during the first year of life. Okay. Let's say cite another citation. In the water, she is calm. We round the pool, then I make her undulate. As soon as I take her in my arms, she adopts the fetal position, relaxed, calm, and with a smiling face. Regression often leads to quote-unquote nirvana states that are relinquished with nostalgia. Already finished the session. As soon as he sees me, a citation again, he gives me the animal, a doe-like, yeah, the doe-like eyes. In the water, he seems in ecstasy, eyes closed, puts his head back, and makes sounds. He even puts his head underwater, and as I sing, he puts his hands on my neck. Little by little, his hand reaches for my face, up to my mouth, just like a little baby. In Aquamouvance sessions, behavior typically reveals the quest for contact with the maternal and paternal figures. Another citation, immediately he clings to me, holds on to my neck, hugs me. buries his face in my neck, skin against skin, does not want to let go of me, sinks his gaze in mine. He says "Daddy" several times while I rock him. I'm not surprised by his reaction, for he is naturally affectionate. On the other hand, he is very excessive. His insistence, his clinging surprise me. When he looks at me, I have the impression that he wishes to enter me, penetrate me. Why Dad and not Mother? Perhaps the rejection of the father at birth. At night, before bedtime, this is a fellow in the institution for mentally handicapped people. At night, before bedtime, he does not go as usual in his bed. He follows me in the corridor so I can put him to bed and sing him a lullaby. So there's a mixture here of something rather sexual, he wants to penetrate me, and the needs of a baby who wants, or a little child who wants to be sung a lullaby before going to sleep. Regression can lead one to contact unfulfilled primary needs. Thus, one of my colleagues in his 50s, artist and sports coach, asked me to accompany him in the pool. We did Aquamouvance for about 20 minutes, followed by aquatic massage. At the end of the massage, which ends by my rocking him in the water while chanting in a soft voice, he is taken by sobs. After a while, he tells me he felt like a small child in the arms of his father, who, for once, was present and affectionate. This quest for paternal or maternal figures may latch on whoever is available, male or female, yet it is frequently specifically oriented towards the caregiver who induces and empathically responds to the regression movement. Our observations show great variety in modes of regression, but they seem to follow a pattern. Even in people with great talent who are considered as highly developed personality-wise. From total dependence, the pattern seems to be from total dependence to gradual autonomy. When they engage in regression, sometimes to the level of perinatal life, they do not yet get trapped at that stage of life. That's the main fear of people who start to walk, to come into the water as clients or even professional people. If they start regressing, they will stay there. They will stay little babies forever, which doesn't happen if we do practice what we're talking about. We have also often observed something else. After moments of profound surrender, with feelings of joy to the point of rapture, a wave of deep pain may mercilessly return. The task of self-regulation seems to be endless. On the way to the pool, citation again, he is singing. In the water, he presses his head against me, demands Daddy, sings a lot. He puts both thumbs into his mouth, then hits his chin with his fists, face contorted. He bends his legs fetus-like. He lets his face fall on my shoulder, then pulls back, looking at me with a very unhappy face. He does not want to leave the water. Of perinatal life, they do not yet get trapped at that stage of life. That's the the main fear of people who start to walk, to either to come into the water as clients or even professional people, if they start regressing, they will stay there. They will stay little babies forever, which doesn't happen if we do practice what we're talking about. We have also often observed something else. After moments of profound surrender, with feelings of joy to the point of rapture, a wave of deep pain may mercilessly return. The task of self-regulation seems to be endless. On the way to the pool, citation again, he is singing. In the water, he presses his head against me, demands daddy, sings a lot. He puts both thumbs into his mouth, then hits his chin with his fists, face contorted. He bends his legs fetus-like. He lets his face fall on my shoulder, then pulls back, looking at me with a very unhappy face. He does not want to leave the water. perinatal life, they do not yet get trapped at that stage of life. That's the main fear of people who start to walk, to either to come into the water as clients or even professional people. If they start regressing, they will stay there. They will stay little babies forever, which doesn't happen if we do practice what we're talking about. We have also often observed something else. After moments of profound surrender, with feelings of joy to the point of rapture, a wave of deep pain may mercilessly return. The task of self-regulation seems to be endless. On the way to the pool, like the citation again, he is singing. In the water, he presses his head against me. The man's daddy sings a lot. He puts both thumbs into his mouth, then hits his chin with his fists, face contorted. He bends his legs fetus-like. He lets his face fall on my shoulder, then pulls back, looking at me with a very unhappy face. He does not want to leave the water.